Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I wanted to underline a couple of things that we just chatted about because I think that there's a lot of lessons to be learned in the conversation that we just had, and frankly, the election that we've gone through, not just in regards to policies, as we were chatting with Philip Miller about, but also as Philip really talked about in his Substack article and in our conversation tonight about authenticity and how it applies in life and in business for everybody. And so I think that there's a couple of really good lessons that we've talked about. Number one is that people are really looking for connection and community. Whether it be the pandemic, whether it be just modern society, whether it be our focus on social media, on video games, living in parents' basements for young people, whatever that be, I think we have lost social capital, community, social interactions. And I think that is key. And I think that, this dating on social media with dating apps has taken us away from that authentic connection with people. And I think that that's a real shame. And sad to think that people might be actually getting a social connection through a podcast with Logan or myself or anybody, but you know what? That's better than nothing. And I do think that people want to have a connection with the person they're interacting with from a media standpoint, and they form relationships with those individuals, and they get to know where they're coming from, what their personalities are like, what their attitudes are like, what their policies are like, and I think that's important. I think when you think about politicians, authenticity is critical, and so therefore, yes, you can remake yourself with contacts and a new haircut and stuff like that, but maybe that image isn't who you really are, and maybe that's not authentic, and maybe that's not what you should be doing, and maybe people can see through that. And I think that is part of the message of the election. I think the other thing is Philip's comment about being controversial. And I don't think it's controversial in a bad way, but I think it's having a point of view that is significant. And I'm thinking about an interview I saw with Tom Hanks at one point in time where he said that the director got really mad at him and a bunch of other actors at one point in time when he didn't think they were showing up, and he started yelling at them. And go on YouTube or whatever to see this clip, because it's an excellent clip of Tom Hanks talking about this. He says that the director said, you know what, all I'm asking you to do is to show up on time, know your lines, and have some ideas about how to make your character better. And he talked about, well, that's sort of business and life. That, and he said showing up on time means probably showing up a little early, but committing to be there and showing up and working. Know your lines is know your stuff. Know what you're supposed to do. Have expertise in your area of responsibility. And then the real differentiator is having some ideas on how to make your character better, which is, I think, Philip's comment about being controversial. I love that line from The Star Is Born, where the old rocker says to the new up and comer, your music is good, but you've got to have a message. You got to be speaking to people through your music for them to really connection. I went to Taylor Swift, and I became a Swiftie. I wasn't a Swiftie before, but her lyrics are really good. I didn't think they were before, but when you listen to them and you study them and and you see that all these females have memorized all the lyrics and these bridges that she makes a big deal out of, have a message in them, have real connection in them. And so there's something about not just sort of going with the flow, not just sort of being safe, not, as Philip said, trying not to lose and playing it safe, being controversial, having a message, having something to say, I think is critically important. And then if I could, I think it's trying to reach out and touch someone with a way that makes their life better. And I think a lot of people are struggling. They're struggling for meaning. They're struggling because of cost of living. They're struggling because they can't afford a house. They're struggling because they're worried about crime. They're struggling because they're worried about Donald Trump and what he's going to do to Canada. Whatever it is, I think people are looking for something to grab onto, some meaning. And, elbows up. Some people criticize it, but it's got meaning to it. It's got unity to it. It's an idea. I think back to my childhood, and whether it be some of the unifying nature of Expo 67, or Ontario, or the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, having something that you can grab onto that means something. And I think in the United States, Make America Great Again was meaningful. I don't think Axe the Tax is meaningful. It's a negative. But a slogan like "Make America Great Again," even though I disagreed with it, because I think America was pretty damn economically great, and I think that the current president is damaging it in a lot of ways. But having something, and it's just not a slogan. It is an idea. It is a movement. It is a principle that you can grab onto and believe in. And I think that Philip talked about Jordan Peterson, and again, I don't agree with everything he says, but something about him appealing to young men to have more meaning in their life and more principles and more values and ethics and working towards something appeals to people. I think that the Pope and a lot of the love that was expressed to him, even with people that were conservative and disagreed with some of his progressive, more liberal attitudes, could see how he really lived, obviously, his beliefs in service to people, in supporting the poor, the disenfranchised, the migrants, the going and washing the Thursday on Maundy Thursday, just several days before he passed away, the feet of prisoners, was inspiring, is inspiring, and we don't have enough inspiration in our world today. So think about not playing it safe, not playing to not lose, but playing to win, being ambitious, being authentic, connecting with people, being maybe a little controversial, and finding in yourself, in your own life, in your own business, in your political parties, in your political movements, in your countries, meaning, purpose, something to grab onto, something that is a principle that you want to live by, and that you want to aspire to, and that you want to motivate and inspire other people to live up to. I think there's a lot of lessons there. Thanks very much, everybody. That's my show for tonight. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online at www.saga960am.ca. Good night, everybody.